Hello, Kalimera, Kalispera, whatever time you're watching. This is Mappa. My name is Thassos, Fles Cafes on Twitter, and I am joined with a special guest. Hold on, this way. No, this way. There we go. We've got Karl from Tales from the East End. Sorry, no, that's wrong. Tales from the East Stand podcast. Supporter of Shamrock Rovers. Hello, Karl. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, you were just telling us before we started recording that you guys have recorded your 300th episode.
Yeah, we had a big celebration on
Yeah.
Sunday, our 300th episode. We're going 7.5 years. So yeah, it was a good day. We brought out some fans and ex-players and all. We all had a few beers, so it was a good day.
No, good. The ex-players as well. The ex-players, so that's great. So obviously we've invited you on because Shamrock Rovers are playing APOEL this week. Let's get started. Let's get to know a little bit, like a brief overview about Shamrock Rovers, like what they're all about.
Well, Rovers are the most successful team in the country. We've won 21 leagues, 25 cups. We've only moved into where we are now, Tata Stadium, in 2009. And we kind of have an interesting history where the club was homeless for 22 years. We won 4 leagues in a row in the 80s, and then suddenly our owners sold the ground, and we found ourselves with no home, no base. And it was a long struggle for a long time. We were bouncing around different stadiums in the capital without any success. It was only when we moved into Tata in 2009 things picked up. We challenged for the league again. We played Real Madrid famously in a friendly. Ronaldo made his debut that day. And then the following season, we met Juventus. And the year after that, we played Spurs, reached the group stages of the Europa League. So things just got better and better. We went into a bit of a lull again. And our current manager, Stephen Bradley, took over in 2016. Took him a while to assemble the squad he wanted to build. It was when we won the cup in 2019. We actually hadn't won the cup in 32 years, unbelievably, even though we've won it the most times. We went 32 years without winning the cup. So that was the springboard when we won that cup. We then won 4 leagues in a row. This year we're going for 5. Although we are 5 points off the top, and Shelburne and Derry are ahead of us. So not looking too likely. We could still do it depending how results go. But yeah, that's sort of where we are now. Stephen Bradley is one of the most successful managers we've ever had. He's the only manager to take us into 2 group stages, 4 leagues, 1 cup. So yeah, that's sort of an overview of the club, I guess.
Yeah. So obviously in Ireland the season is a summer season. So you guys are quite a way through the season. So how many games have you guys got left?
We've only got 5 games left, so our season would have begun back in February, and it's going to end in early November. We changed to a summer season back in 2002, which saw an upturn in European results for sure, because often we would face teams and we'd be out of season, and it'd be such a disadvantage. Don't have that disadvantage anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're summer football, which definitely helps.
All right. Okay. So you would consider the kind of the lateness you guys are in the season as an advantage for the group stages then?
Don't know if it's more so when we used to play the first round in, say, like mid-July,
Yeah.
and by mid-July we're well into our season. We've actually probably just passed the halfway point,
Mhm.
so it's more so that's an advantage. I don't know where we're playing the likes of APOEL now and then Larn. By the
Mhm.
time we play Larn, even they're going to be well into their season. You guys, I think you've played 4 or 5 games, so
Yeah. Yeah,
Possibly
exactly.
not at this stage. No.
Hmm. Okay, all right. I'm going through the team that you guys have got this season, and there's a player that should be well known to our Boyle fans, that I've just seen, which I should have seen earlier, but that's Jack Byrne. So
Jack Byrne, yeah, he went to you guys, as you know, in 2020, well, the 2021 season,
yeah, he
and
joined either just before or around when Mick McCarthy took charge, and that wasn't really the best time for the club. It was quite a disastrous season, that one.
I saw someone make the observation that he, it was the right move to the right country, but to the wrong club. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Um, I don't know. It was more the kind of the fallout of what was happening that season. It wasn't a great time for the club, and there was a few players that were kind of used as scapegoats for it. So another one was Nuhu, who was at Sheffield United. I think I'm gonna get uh, blasted for that, not remembering which Sheffield it was. But yeah, Mick McCarthy was thrown under the bus as well for how poorly the season had gone, and obviously there was a couple of signings that Mick McCarthy had brought in, and one of them was Jack Byrne, and he was considered. Um, a failure, even though his stats weren't that bad for the amount of games he played.
Well, yeah, he went over, and as I recall, he had a back injury, which ended up ending his season prematurely. But he had been absolutely fantastic for us. Mick McCarthy brought him over to APOEL. Mick had given Jack his international debut with Ireland back in 2019, and Jack was probably at his peak in 2019 and 2020, just providing a lot of assists, just dominating games, just an incredible ability. He had begun his youth career at Manchester City. He spent he joined a few clubs in England, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason. Came back to us and kind of had to build himself up again, I guess. And he had a brilliant couple of seasons with us, won 2 leagues, and then of course went to Applewell. Since then, he's had a few injury problems this season. He's missed a chunk of the season with injury, but when he gets a run of games, he definitely shows glimpses of his old self. His vision to pick out a pass, uh, there's no one like him in our league. I don't think he sees things on the pitch that no one else can see. Some of his true balls and his clip balls over the top is fantastic. So when he's on his day, he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, we saw it in glimpses when he was in Cyprus as well. So we definitely know that he's a good player. Will we be expecting to see him play?
Well, in the last game we played, we were beaten 3-0 at home to Pats on Friday, and neither Johnny Kenny, our top goal scorer, or Jack Byrne featured in that game. They were both on the bench, didn't come on. Um, the gaffer pretty much admitted that he had an eye on Thursday's game, even though we're in the middle of a title race, but we had a sort of a busy run of games, so we had a hectic schedule. I would expect him to start against his old club, yeah, and I would expect
Mm.
Johnny Kenny to start. And those two have developed a bit of an understanding.
Right.
Jack is able to pick out a pass for Johnny,
Hmm.
so I would expect those two to start the game on Thursday.
Okay. There's another one that I've seen here as well. Well, there's two that I recognise the surnames, but for me, the first one, because in England I'm an Aston Villa fan, is Graham Burke. As he spent quite a long time with Aston Villa, especially in the youth teams, and then got sent out on loan, I think, a couple of times as well to Rovers, didn't he? So, kind of the question, kind of for me, will we be expecting him to play as well, or
He'll definitely feature. Whether he'll start or not, I don't know. he's not actually started any game yet in the European campaign. He's come off the bench in nearly all of them. But when he does, he makes an impact. The crucial game that saw us qualify for the group stages was in the second leg against Celje from Slovenia, where we were a goal down the first leg, and we went 2-0 up in Tala. They pulled it back. We went to extra time. Then we bring on Graham Burke, and he scores from long range. He just has this ability to score these important goals from long range. That was fortuitous. I think the goalkeeper didn't cover himself in glory there. But for example, we beat our Dublin rivals Bohemians there a couple of weeks ago. It was looking like we wouldn't break them down and get the winner. But then up pops Graham Burke from 20 yards with an unbelievable strike. And he just has this natural ability to pull off great moments like that.
Yeah, so it was kind of glimpses that we saw when he was going out on loan as an Aston Villa fan when he was younger as well. As we could see that there was definitely an impact player who could cause some teams trouble. So yeah, I'd expect the same. The other player I've seen here is Marcus Poom. Now, obviously, because I pay quite a lot of attention to Premier League, and whilst I don't want to reveal my age too much, Poom is a very well-known surname in my family, especially I've got a few Derby fans in my family. So is that Mark Poom's son?
Yeah, that's his son. Yeah, Carl Smart was a goalkeeper. Marcus is a midfielder.
Yeah.
This is his second season with us on loan from Flora Tallinn. Flora Tallinn actually knocked us out of the Conference League playoff round in 2021.
Right.
He didn't actually play against them that game. He just sat on the bench. But funny enough, we ended up signing him to Rovers. Again, he's not featured as heavily this season. He's had a few injuries. It's been a bizarre season for Rovers in terms of injuries, especially in the first half. There was most weeks we had 10 first team players injured every single week. Like the physio and the medical department have said they've never seen anything like it in their lives. It was just unbelievable. Look, just so many injuries. Like you look at some of our normal starters like Jack Byrne and Lee Grace, and if you look at their tallies for this season, they're so low because they've missed chunks of the season, and it feels like we've never been able to field a regular 11 like we had last season. But no, Marcus hasn't. He was probably more prominent last year, and I thought he was improving a lot, and he was fitting into the style of play that Stephen Bradley wants to play, but hasn't featured a whole lot this year.
Right. Okay. That's fine. So, I mean, I've mentioned the three players that kind of stood out for me name-wise, but obviously we're here to do a bit of scouting. So, what can you tell us about like some further strengths of Rovers?
Well, we're definitely a possession-based team, and we love to play out from the back. Sometimes we like a little too much, and it's very high risk, and teams like to press us and try and intercept us. But we have changed it up as well this season. I've spoken about the sort of clip balls over the top for Johnny Kenny. So we have caught out teams like that. Sometimes we've been very direct, and that's worked for us. In terms of strengths, I do expect Jack to play. We also have Dylan Watts in midfield, who's probably a Player of the Year contender. Like a really good midfielder. Our game has often been central to our game has been our sort of pacey wing back. So we have Neil Ferrugia on one side and Trevor Clark on the other. Trevor has been unfortunately a bit injury prone. He came off early on Friday, so I don't know if he'll feature. So we might have Derek Burns instead, who also is very pacey. So we played 3-5-2, and we like our wing backs to bomb forward and sort of link up play with whether it's Johnny Kenny or Graham Burke if he comes off the bench, or Aaron Green may also come back from injury and come off the bench as well. So I think those are our strengths. Our weaknesses. We had a goalkeeper for a very long time, Alan Manus, a Northern Ireland international. He had a great career with ourselves and St Johnstone in Scotland, and he was just Mr. Reliable, just the ultimate safe pair of hands. We kept him until he was 41. He just seemed to keep getting better somehow. Just one of those goalkeepers. And meanwhile, his understudy was Leon Pols, a German goalkeeper who had come from obscurity, really. In England, he was with the college teams in the States as well. So during up, we were winning all these leagues, and Leon Pols was sort of learning from Alan Manus, and then sort of like the way Alex Ferguson chose David Moyes to be his successor, Alan Manus gave his blessing to Leon Pols to be his successor, and so he has been our number one this season. And I suppose the fans and the media have mixed opinions on him this season. Some people feel he's cost us some points with some mistakes, but on the flip side, he's proven to be a really good shot stopper. And I mentioned the away game in Slovenia. If it wasn't for him, we would have lost that game 3 or 4-0, and we wouldn't have qualified. So I have to give credit where it's due. So
yeah, there's always I find there's always the goalkeeper is normally the hero, especially in the European games. I'm just thinking back to on one year when they were playing Manchester United. The only the only player that kept him in the game was the goalkeeper Francis Uzoho. That game, he was he was prime whatever goalkeeper you want to use. But since then, every kind of other game, including for Nigeria, he's not been that great. So kind of when the important European games come, you expect your goalkeeper to kind of lift his game up, don't you?
yeah.
So,
But you could
yeah.
point to, I suppose, like I said, we lost to St. Pat's at home on Friday, and we conceded a goal after 42 seconds from a corner.
Mm.
And you could look at that, and you could scrutinize that and say, our goalkeeper Leon should claim that ball. He should clear it. So I suppose if you're the opposition, you might look at that as a way to target us defensively.
So is that an issue then on the set piece side, or is that just
We have conceded a few soft goals from set pieces for sure. And
yeah?
like I
So that
said,
could
we
be
haven't had the
dangerous.
same back three all the time. So our defenders, sometimes they've performed heroically, sometimes they've let themselves down a little bit and we lose the game. So it's been such an inconsistent season. I wouldn't even single out our defense. Just in general, the team has been very inconsistent all year, but we have raised our games in Europe, and that's why we're in the group stages. We've had some brilliant performances in Europe.
So for you as a fan then? What is the aim for you in this? In obviously this new style campaign that they've done over the 6 games. Where are you hoping to be placed? Are you?
Yeah, we were kind of we put the question out to our fans actually last week. We said predict how many points we'll get in the group stages, and I think the average people were saying was 7 or 8. And I think what they're targeting there is TNS from Wales at home, Larne from up north, which is just a drive up the road for us, a great European trip.
Yeah.
We're targeting a win there. And then we've got these home games against Borac of Bosnia and yourselves. So I guess if you're saying 7 or 8, you're thinking 6 against Larne and TNS and at least a point against APOEL and Borac.
Mm.
If you're any more than that, you're thinking the Bosnian team, we were well capable of beating them. I remember sort of having an eye on them in the qualifiers and thinking, not the end of the world if we draw them. We're capable of beating them.
Mm.
APOEL, I would consider the third best team in the group after Chelsea and Rapid Vienna. So it'll be a tough
Wow,
game in Tallinn.
that's high praise, especially considering how how preseason went for the team. I'm sure you've kept an eye on what's going, what's happened over preseason, obviously as opponents. But yeah, we had a managerial sacking already before our season even started. We've had uh, we've had some financial wrangling issues that have kept up from last season. There's a couple of players that have been signed that aren't doing what they should be. And there's a very vocal support as well. I'm sure you've seen even I think we've only been given 300 and something tickets. Is that right? For
I'm not actually sure how many tickets have been given out.
Yeah, it's not that many. It's 300 and something, I think, something along those lines.
Mhm.
But even then, you'll be able to hear them. You'll be able to hear those guys when they show up. It's going to be loud. Um, but yeah, the fans are vocal. They're always they'll always be singing for their team, regardless of results and what's kind of going on the pitch and off it. But there's a lot of murmuring going on at the moment because of obviously we had a good chance. We had a very good chance to get into the into the Europa League. Uh, League, but we ended up getting knocked out by RFS
Mhm.
from Latvia, which was a very disappointing result. And the season was kind of picking up until this weekend just gone, where they ended up drawing 0-0 with the team. I wouldn't say there are rivals, but what basically happened was the ultras of our rival team, so the ultras of Omonia, split off from Omonia when they were bought out in 2018 and created their own club, a bit like FC United of Manchester,
Mhm.
right? Except they went up the leagues all the way to the top division, and they ended up playing their first game against APOEL or yesterday as of recording this, so Sunday, and the game finished 0-0. And the players were very lethargic in the game as well. So the manager had rotated a little bit, but yeah, the performance from the players was very disappointing, very pedestrian, very like they were just walking it about, just just kind of they had something like 70% possession, but they did nothing with it, which is worrying. Um,
Mhm.
so I think what's going to end up happening in this game, because like you said, you guys play kind of more possession based football. I would expect that Abwell probably sit back and just let you guys stroke the ball around. I mean, not even probably press until kind of the ball crosses the halfway line,
Mhm.
and that's due to the fact that there's very little pace in the team. We've got quite a few players that are over the age of 30. We've got quite a few players over the age of 33, which isn't great. But I would like to. So this is for everybody watching slash listening as well. Abanya that we bought from Petrocub this summer is very fast. He's very speedy. Like he goes up and down the pitch. He's very good at the defending. He's very good at the forward press as well. Great with a pass, which is obviously very important for somebody like El Arabi, um, who basically needs the ball at his feet in the penalty box, but as soon as he gets that, he's very dangerous. And we've also got Pizzi as well, who again 34 years old, but is a very good playmaker. So what happened this weekend is that the team we were playing nullified that threat by basically putting two defenders on El Arabi and Pizzi, which made it very difficult for APOEL to kind of get that final pass to him, which the kind of the one-wayness of that was very disappointing. But hopefully, obviously, European game, everybody's effort levels go up, don't they? So obviously, I've asked you a few questions. Have you got a few questions to chuck at me for APOEL?
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth there, because we asked you guys for some info on APOEL, and you sent us some great stuff. And you mentioned Petrovic there, and
Yeah,
you,
Petrovic
you gave us a laugh the way you said he'll play, but he's tall but slow and old.
Yeah. Again, 34-year-old defensive midfielder has been playing as a central defender for the club. Last season, he had an amazing season, despite me saying he was going to be terrible. I was very wrong about that. But this season, he's made a lot of errors and a lot of. He gets caught out by a pacey forward, which is not great. In fact, he didn't play this weekend. But I'm pretty sure that's more because of being rested or just trying to recover from an injury from the week before. I expect to start with Dvali and Laifis in defense, which I think is the more solid. But what I've seen from Dvali as well is the ball over the top that you talked about. He's very susceptible to that. He was very solid for Georgia in the European Championships this summer. So hopefully he finds that form again at some point. But yeah, now you mentioned Talas Stadium. The people who will be watching on the TV, and some of the APOEL fans who will be in the stadium will probably want to know about what the atmosphere is like there.
Yeah, certainly on European nights, the atmosphere is always really good. This will be our opening group stage game. It's our third group stage. We've held every single European game in Tada, even when we've drawn giants like Juventus and Spurs. Some people thought we would have to move it to a bigger stadium, but we've always kept it in Tada. When Juventus played, we only had 2 stands open at the time. That was 2010. We since added a third stand in 2019 and a fourth stand. Actually, only early this year, the fourth stand finally opened after a long delay. That brought the capacity up to 10,000, and it's quite a uniquely shaped stadium. Like all four stands are of different heights and widths, and the south stand behind one of the goals, that's where the ultras are. So that's where you hear a lot of noise from our fans. And then you got more of a family section near the dugouts in the main stand, and you've got east opposite that, and then you've got north, which is the nearer one, the higher one. If you're up at the top of that north stand, it's a great view of the Wicklow Mountains. But you guys will be in the east, so like that's where you'll be situated. And yeah, no, always good atmospheres. I would say we haven't been as loud and impressive this season as maybe years gone by. You could say, is that because we're so used to success? We've won 4 leagues in a row. But in games where we're the underdog are often some of my most memorable ones. And this may be a sort of an even game because you guys have your troubles and you haven't started the best and all.
Yeah.
We've had a very inconsistent season, and our three home games quite quite winnable. APOEL, Borac, and TNS. But just the fact that it's a European match and there's so much at stake, uh, I think that just sort of it gets everyone buzzing,
Mm.
and I think it will be a really good atmosphere
Yeah.
on Thursday.
Yeah. So I mean, so you say 10,000 um, is small in inverted commas, but
Mm.
it's a normal size stadium for Cyprus. I mean, the newest stadium that's been built in Limassol is only 11,000 and something, and that's home for three teams. So
Yeah.
so it's Abuel playing the 22,000
Mm.
seater, but that's basically that was the national stadium that's got Omonia in there as well. So but yeah, 10,000 is normal attendance, kind of normal capacity wise for Cyprus as well. Are you guys expecting to fill it for this match?
Um, Given that it's the group phase and it's the first game, I would expect it to be a bit higher than normal.
So
But
what would be normal then for you guys?
well, we played our rivals there. Like I said, a couple of weeks back, and the attendance was 6,000, nearly seven. But it was a Monday night.
Yeah,
If that had been a Friday, I think you're talking more, probably 8,000. When we've
yeah,
opened the new stand early in the season, we broke the 10,000 mark for the first
yeah,
time ever. And our best European attendance was against Sparta Prague in the Champions League. That was 9,600.
yeah.
And then the following game, when we beat the Slovenian team, Celje, that was only about 6.5 or so.
Okay,
So I don't know. It depends on maybe the opponent and the stakes, but given it's the league phase, I would expect it to be quite a high attendance.
okay, all right. You mentioned playing the rivals on a Friday night. It's like as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, I don't know about that. I mean, at least in Cyprus anyway, you put a game on between rivals on a Friday night, you're asking for trouble.
Well, Friday night is League of Ireland nights. It's League of Ireland football.
Right. Okay.
I
So
suppose it
it's
keeps
normal.
us
Yeah.
separate from England on the Saturdays. But
Oh,
it's
right. Okay. Got
been
you.
an Irish tradition for a long time,
Yeah. Yeah.
20
No.
years more. So
Yeah. I got you. I got you. So, and just like a final question from me is kind of looking back historically at Shamrock. Would you be able to name any players that say someone in Cyprus would have heard of?
I suppose one of our famous players would be John Giles. He managed us and Ireland. He was a famous player with Leeds back in the 60s.
You might have
Maybe,
to go a bit more forward than that, I
I
think.
know, yeah. He was the first one that came to mind. Do you mean like a sort of a player who would have featured in the Premier League?
Well, not necessarily in the Premier League, but if you are able to name somebody
Well,
who's featured in the
we
Premier
had
League.
Damien Duff, but he was kind of towards the end of his career,
Yeah, okay,
and he
Damien
only
Duff.
played a
That's
handful of games.
yeah,
So he's
that's
probably one of the more famous players you've had. Um, our most successful players, goal scorers, appearance makers, may not be ones who
mm,
had great careers in England. They may have spent a lot of time in Ireland or
yeah,
English, Scottish lower leagues, but they're legends to us. That
yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's the same with Abuel. They've there's a lot of players that the club has signed that say have got some kind of name uh, internationally. But the best players are the ones that one club players that have been there for that have been there for God knows how long, provided so many uh, provided so many appearances, scored so many goals. So I completely completely understand that.
Mhm.
But yeah, Damien Duff is a pretty good pull, though. That's pretty big.
He started his coaching career with us pretty much. He
Mm.
was coaching our under 15 side, and then he went to Celtic, and then he worked with the Republic of Ireland, and now he's
Mm.
back here again with Shelburne, and he has them top of the league,
Yeah,
and they're the team we're trying to catch at the moment.
yeah. So you said you're 5 points behind in the league. Do you think the team could catch them up?
Well, we actually play Shelburne after you guys on the
Oh,
Sunday,
right. Okay.
so
Nice.
already there's a 3 point swing, and Shelburne have to play the second place team, Derry, on the last day of the season.
Mm.
So there's definitely a few twists and turns still to come. Um, I always find trying to rein in two teams is extremely difficult. It's bad enough you needing one to topple, but Shelburne have been in quite poor form. And as we're speaking here on Monday night, they're losing again to St. Pat's 2-0 at home.
Yeah.
So if you look at the form table in the last 8-9 games, even though they've led the season, they've topped the table all season. Shelburne are one of the worst form teams in the table right now.
Their season is starting to sound a lot like our season last season, where we did very, very well kind of in the first phase. And what happens is after each team has played each other twice, they split top six and bottom eight, and then the top six play each other twice. And the form for APOEL in that bit got a bit shaky to the point where it got to the last game of the season, and and they were playing second place, and all they had to do was not lose the game, and they would have won the title. And they didn't lose the game, so and they won the title. But yeah, it was last season. It kind of reads off a bit like what's happening with you guys this season, because there was two teams that were chasing APOEL as well, right at the top. But yeah, it sounds like people should be keeping an eye on your guys' season. It sounds like it's going to be a nail biter.
I could see it going to the wire for sure. It just seems like no one wants to win it.
Yep.
Every time one team drops points, the other team doesn't capitalize.
Mm.
It's been a very strange season, and the team in sixth, they're about to climb the table now after they win here. But the same team in sixth place are within a chance of winning the title. Like
Yeah. So
the
it
top
reads
six,
off.
any of them can win.
It reads off like our last season. It was any of the top four, five could have won the league, but it kind of it ended up happening the way it happened at the end. But yeah, it's looks like it's going to be a very interesting season. So, with that in mind, do you want to tell people about how they can learn a bit more about Shamrock Rovers, and do you do your ads and the rest of that? Do a bit of promotion right at the end there.
Promote Shamrock Rovers, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I suppose the website is shamrockrovers.ie, and obviously they're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
I meant
So
yours. Sorry, I meant your guys.
that makes more sense actually. Yeah. We're 1,000 East End, on Twitter, or X as it's known now, at East Stand Pod, and yeah, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. So yeah, we put up the show once a week, so you'll find us on Spotify and all the usual places. And like I said earlier, we just did a 300 episode, so we won't be reviewing the APOEL game until next week. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a win.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You might, but yeah. So obviously, I was going to ask you right at the end there for a prediction. What do you think? What do you think the score will be?
Prediction. I'm going to be a bit conservative, and I'm going to say a 1-1 draw.
Oh, okay. That is a good shout. I will probably agree with that, to tell you the truth. The way they kind of we're playing, uh, uh, and I think obviously you guys are playing at home. Uh, you're going to be buoyed, I think, as well by kind of the first, because it's the first game for both teams. I think you guys are going to be buoyed as
Mhm.
well by the fact that you're going to have a home crowd. So I will agree with you on that. I think no, there won't be a best team will win situation. I think it'll be uh, I think it'll be 1-1 as well. So yeah. Um, with that bombshell, I think we'll wave goodbye. But before I do, obviously you guys can follow me uh, if you haven't yet on Twitter and Instagram at Flares Cafes. We've obviously got as well the This Is Mappa uh, Twitter and Instagram at This Is Mappa. It's straightforward. You guys can find it very easily. And on that note, and with a 1-1 draw, I bid everybody farewell. Goodbye.